Hi, this is Sam Hall at Chef's Kitchen in Williamsburg, Virginia. We're going to make a lemon vinaigrette today. Vinaigrettes are one of my favorite things to make because they're so easy, so much more healthy than the typical salad dressing you find at the grocery store. This lemon vinaigrette that we're going to put together today is an emulsified vinaigrette. I love making emulsions. Some of my favorite foods are emulsions. Chocolate is an emulsion, butter is an emulsion, mayonnaise is an emulsion, beurre blanc, hollandaise sauce. All these things are, on their simplest level, just mixtures of oil and water. When you put this oil and water together, typically it wants to separate out. But these hold together. They're suspensions, and you get that thicker product, like a mayonnaise or like a salad like chocolate. Now, my favorite way to put an emulsion together is in a blender. Now, I've got my blender already set up here, and I could, of course, use a bowl and a whisk to put this together, or I could use a food processor. But a blender is a little bit different because it's actually going to liquefy. It's actually going to puree. If you use the bowl and a whisk, it doesn't do anything at all. It's not going to chop these ingredients at all. And your food processor is going to chop very finely, but it's not going to liquefy. So the blender is really the way to go for vinaigrettes, in my opinion. This emulsion is rather healthy. I named a bunch of emulsions earlier, and most of those were not that healthy. Mayonnaise, you should need a lot of. Butter, in addition to that, no. But we're using extra virgin olive oil as our fat in this vinaigrette. And it's probably the healthiest oil you can consume, healthiest fat you can consume. It's a monounsaturated fat. It raises your good cholesterol, lowers your bad cholesterol. It's loaded with antioxidants, and if you drink enough of it, it will give you the ability to read minds. I'm just kidding, actually. Not really on that last count, but everything else is totally true. Now, the way you put together almost all emulsions is by taking all of your non-oil ingredients, pureeing them, or whisking them, or putting them in the food processor, and then slowly adding your fat at the end. Same way you make hollandaise sauce, same way you make beurre blanc. It's about the slow addition of your oil. Well, we'll start off by putting some lemon into our blender here. Now, the first part of the lemon I'm going to put in here is the outside, the zest. And I'll use this microplane grater to get all the zest off the outside. When I'm zesting anything, I am really meticulous about going over an area just once. And I like doing this because the yellow stuff on the outside tastes really good, but the white stuff on the inside tastes really lousy. It tastes like aspirin rather than lemon. So I'm just going to go for that outside layer, and if I miss a few spots of yellow, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I just want to get most of it off. Now, microplane graters are really wonderful because it takes off such a thin layer of lemon skin. I really recommend this tool. Now, we don't want to just stop there with the lemon. We want to add some lemon juice as well. So I'm going to slice these two lemons in half. We'll grab our juicer, and we'll put the rest of this juice right in there. So we'll use that as the main part of our acid for this vinaigrette. And because it's a vinaigrette, we got to add a little bit of vinegar, though. And I'll do that in the form of some rice wine vinegar. I like using interesting vinegars. We use balsamic vinegar, sherry wine vinegar, rice wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar from Normandy. All these vinegars have interesting characteristics. This rice wine vinegar is very tasty. It's kind of a richer flavor than, say, just a white vinegar. White vinegars are pretty bland, pretty boring. They're just sour. All the vinegars I named earlier are going to add some nice background flavor to your salad dressing. Now, the next ingredient I want to add, after adding these two acids, is a little bit of sugar. And I like doing that because it rounds out that flavor. Like a good glass of wine, you don't want it to be too sweet or too tannic or too acidic. You want it to be balanced. And so we'll add just a little bit of honey right now to sweeten it up. And I like adding honey for the same reason I like using interesting vinegar. If you use white sugar in here, it's just sweet. There's no background flavor. But this is a lavender and rosemary honey, and we'll get that nice kind of floral nuance in the background. It's going to add that nice notes of flowers. So we've got a little bit of Dijon mustard to go in next. And Dijon mustard is probably the most important ingredient I'll put into this vinaigrette. It's going to help bind it together. In cooking, we call these things binders. Not very inventive, I guess. But without the Dijon mustard, our oil's going to want to separate out, and it would look like old school wishbone salad dressing with all the stuff on the bottom and all the oil on top. With the Dijon mustard, because it's very high in particulate, it'll help hold that oil in there, kind of act like cement. Things that are high in protein, things that are high in starch, things that are high in particulate help hold your emulsions together. So I'm going to chop up a little bit of Vidalia onion to go in here as well, and I'm just going to cut across, or with the grain here, and then across the grain here, and we'll cut a nice fine dice. And it seems kind of silly to chop up your onion before putting it into the blender, but I like to do that just to ensure that we're not going to get any big chunks of onion running through our vinaigrette. I'll pop that in there. I like using Vidalia onion because it's a sweeter onion. I like using shallots, scallions, chives, and Vidalia. Those are really the main 4 onions I'll use in this uncooked application. If you use anything stronger, that's going to be all people will taste for the rest of the meal. And when they're eating a big piece of chocolate cake at the end, you don't want it to have an oniony background flavor, and it will if you use a yellow onion or a red onion or one of those big white onions. So sweet onions. A little bit of black pepper in here to add some piquance, and a little bit of sea salt. And we use really good pepper and salt. This is gray sea salt from Brittany, France. Van Spices packs it for us. It's delicious stuff. It's a flavor enhancer. It's going to make all the flavors in here a little bit stronger, but without adding kind of a bad background flavor that table salt adds. I don't like that iodine flavor that you get from table salt. Gray sea salt has that kind of pristine ocean flavor. So I'm going to pop the lid on our vinaigrette minus the oil and give it a quick puree. We'll turn it off, and I just want to show you how thin this is at this stage. You can see it's about the same consistency as water. By the time we're done adding this oil, we'll get a much thicker substance, and that's really what we're going for here, thickness. So I'm going to remove the center part of the lid. I'll turn this blender back on. And we're just going to slowly add a thin stream of oil here. When you're making any type of emulsion, start off really, really slowly. Now as we go a little bit further, we can increase the amount of oil we put in. And you can hear this getting thicker and thicker and thicker. And this is beautiful stuff. We went from something that has the same consistency as water to something that's thicker than heavy cream. You can just see how thick this is. It's sitting up on the back of the spoon and staying there. Now, what we did was take this oil and cut it into thousands of little microscopic spheres. And those spheres got wrapped up in our Dijon and vinegar mixture and weren't allowed to bind together and rise up to the top. When you start off really slowly, you get smaller bubbles, and the bubbles are more spread out. When you start off really fast, you get bigger bubbles that are much more likely to rise up to the top and separate out. When you get enough bubbles in there, they start breaking each other up. And they can't bind together because they're so tiny. It's all about surface tension. That's really the name of the game with emulsions. Now, I told you about the thickness, which I really like because it'll sit up on top of our salad greens rather than wind up on the bottom of the salad. But also, if you look at this spoon, you can see it's very consistently colored. Now, that's really important to me. If we didn't emulsify this, if we just had something that looked like wishbone salad dressing here, and I dip my spoon in there, the only thing that would be on my spoon is oil. But in this case, we've got all of the different ingredients in that same little microscopic bite. So the flavor has melded much better. I've got a squirt bottle, which is one of my favorite tools for distributing any type of sauce. But this is especially nice for salad dressing. It doesn't work for hot sauces. This plastic part of the lid heats up just enough to release this top at the most inopportune moment. You'll douse yourself or your dish with sauce. Now I've got a little bit of baby arugula here, one of my favorite salad greens, and it should go wonderfully well with this sauce. I just want to show you how it sits up on top of the salad and will stay there almost indefinitely. Now this is really important if you want a salad that is going to have garnish in it. If I've got croutons in here, I want my croutons to stick to my salad greens. A thicker salad dressing is much more likely to do that. But here we are, it's final presentation. Beautiful, simple arugula salad with lemon vinaigrette.